you married?
Yes, sir.
So your wife is your wife obeying you?
Oh, yeah.
Your wife obeying you?
Oh, yeah.
How does she feel knowing that you're afraid of your mother? We go to Pope out of Georgia. Pope, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Jesse, how are you?
All is well. Thank you for calling.
No problem. Hey, I talked to you last week. I told you minor details about my mom and dad separating.
Okay.
It was where my dad is 73. They've been married for about 33 years. And we're about half sure my mama ended up running around on him.
Uh-huh.
Remember that?
I do. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I figured I'd go into a little more detail since I ain't calling it tail end of the show. But
okay.
As far as her running around, I think the only detail we don't know is who is with. But there's enough details there to say more likely than not she's been running around.
Okay. Running around meaning she cheated with another man?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't know she wasn't staying at home. She would be gone all night. Say she was here or there, but probably not. Taking some personal items with her that you would only take with you if you were planning on staying in somebody else's bed, I guess you'd say. So anyway, then that all comes out. Then Father's Day, she just ups and leaves and doesn't call anybody, doesn't say nothing. She's just gone for an entire week. And my parents have been going to therapy, and a lot of stuff had been going on where I told my dad, you might as well just quit going to therapy because if she's going in there and just lying, it's not doing any good, But a lot of arguing, lots of things like that. Then a week later, so she left on Father's Day that Sunday. Following Sunday, my dad checks the mail and finds out that the bank account that they share, he got a statement for it, and she had just withdrawn half the money out of that account the Thursday prior to her leaving. So now everybody's on board of, okay, she's planning on leaving. She's planning on dividing everything, taking her share, and go. Well, she talked to a sister of mine, and my sister pretty well told her, you're in the wrong here. We don't even know. You've been lying and mistreating our dad. What are you talking about? Because she's trying to put the blame on everybody but herself is what she's doing.
And so what's your question for me about, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 30.
Oh, okay. What's your question for me about it?
Well, the question is, I guess, what do I need to do in this situation? Well, I think I told you last week about how I had thought about taking your advice of forgiving my mother and everything, and how does this whole situation kind of play into all that?
So you haven't gone and forgiven your mother for turning you away from your father?
No, I have not.
And why not?
So I was coming to the conclusion of, I need to start that conversation sometime in the near future. And now with all this going on, and man, it's a pretty rough situation now. And
is it rough? Is it rough for you?
So after I talked with you last week, it's not super rough because I'm kind of letting them work their things out.
Is it rough for you, period, what your father and mother going through together?
No, it's not necessarily rough on me. I mean, I hate to see my dad be put off through this, but
why?
It really doesn't
Why
hurt.
do you hate to see it?
Well, when 73 years old, you kind of got some sympathy on the old man, you know what I mean?
No. Why are you hating to see it? That's your father and not you. And your father loved what he's going through. That's why he's going through it. Why are you involved and why are you hating to see it?
Well, I guess just a natural, I guess my emotions get the best of me, I guess.
And emotions are not natural. Emotions are
right.
evil.
Well, hopefully, I think what's going to happen is they're going to divide a few assets, and my dad won't be left out on his butt. And,
I know, but Poe, what you're not understanding, you a grown man living on your own, doing your own thing. You and your sisters and no one else should be involved in it at all. your father and your mother love what they're doing to one another. They're fine with it, and you're in the way. Why not just leave it to them and you live your life? You work
Well,
on you, and you just work on you, because your father and mother love their hell, and you're all involved in their hell. It's enough
well,
working on your overcoming your own hell.
so pretty sure that what's gonna happen is my dad ain't gonna stick around. He's trying to get out of his
But
hell
why
at
do
this
you
point.
care?
Well, you got to look. Well, doesn't Ten Commandments say honor thy father and mother?
Right, but you're not doing that because you're so busy being involved in their business. You're not honoring them by forgiving them.
Okay.
You haven't gone and forgiven your mother. You haven't forgiven your father. So you're not honoring them. You're busy, caught up in hell with them. Why don't you just let them do what they do? You work on overcoming your hell so you can be free.
Right. Well, that's what I've been doing the past week or so, and I think I had told you that after describing the situation. I
Pope,
just said,
come back to your phone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, stay with your phone. You're going in and out.
Okay.
So why?
But
See, you haven't even gone and forgiven your mother, because until you forgive your mother, God cannot forgive you, and you have forgiven your mother and father. So you're in hell with them, and that's why you're involved in all their mess, because you love the thrill of what's happening too.
well, yeah, I guess I see where you're coming from.
Do you really see it, or you don't see it?
Well, I don't really see why I shouldn't be at least a little sympathetic and concerned about my dad, I guess.
Your dad is a grown man. Can you hold on for a minute?
Yeah.
Hold on for me. Let me take a break. Pope, you say your father's 74 years old?
73.
Is he handicapped or something?
No, sir. He's pretty able-bodied.
So why are you so involved in he and his wife's situation?
Well, because the big factor with that is if my mama turns too evil and tries to clean him out through a divorce and take half of his money and half of his retirement, he can't make it.
But he should be aware of that himself, so that he can take care of himself with that.
What do you?
I mean, he needs to take care of it now that he know that she's taking half of the money out the bank. She's doing this. Why doesn't he get up and protect himself from her?
Right. So that's what.
No, that was a question.
What I was saying, that's kind of what he's been doing this week, is working with her and trying to what little bit of cards he holds, trying to get motivated to, let's go ahead and divide the assets and everything fairly, so that he won't be, completely cleaned out. He's working towards that. He is. So it's that kind of.
What I don't understand, why are you so involved in it?
Well, because if he was to get cleaned out, and he does, at 73, being a blue collar worker his whole life, he can't just jump back into doing blue collar work at 73. He's going to need some help, and that's where me and my family is going to have to step in. And
does he know that already?
Yeah, I've told him already that if worst scenario happens, me and mine will help take care of you.
But why are you setting him up for this quote unquote worst case when that's not the case? And by you setting him up, saying, well, don't worry about it, if that happens, we'll take care of you, that's causing him not to want to take care of himself and handle his own business. It's like the welfare tell you, you know what, you don't get a job, don't worry about it, we got you. And so people find that out, and they won't go look for a job because they know the welfare got them. And you're doing the same thing with your father.
Well, I think that's kind of against his character. When I told him that, he was pretty upset.
That you would take care of him?
Well, I think it's a little more embarrassing for him to have his son and daughters taking care of him. You know
Good.
What I mean? It's supposed to be the way around.
So why don't you get out of it and stop offering him all that stuff? He's not that kind of a guy. Why not let him? Your father's 73. He made it this far. He's taking care of himself. Why are you being the mama to him? Why don't you just work on your life?
I guess just
because your fears Your fears of what's going to happen is in your mind, not his mind, but your mind. And because you have these fears that he might end up like this, you're all in the way.
Right. I get it.
You get what?
That I'm all in the way.
So why don't you get out of his way?
Well, it's kind of been the idea since I talked to you last week. Was just keep my distance and let them sort things out on their own and see what happens.
And why don't you just do it?
That's what I told you. That's what I've been doing this whole past week. But I guess my main question is, even if my parents are working through this, how does my need to go and forgive my mother fit into all this?
Because if you want to enter into the kingdom of heaven, if you want a pure heart, you got to forgive. And your heart is about your heart and your life and about your life. And you got to forgive your mother and forgive your father for not protecting you from her so God can forgive you. And then you will love your parents and all people in a perfect way. You still got to work on you.
Right. I'm totally sold on your idea. I know you're 100% right about forgiving my mother and father. But I guess what concerning about this situation is so my sisters have already talked to her, and I don't think they're totally on board with this forgiving her thing like me and you are. But the conversations that my sister has had with her, they have not gone well. Like, not at all. Because, I mean, I listen to callers that you have where they say, oh, I went and forgave my mother, and she just, oh, it was terrible. She started throwing a fit and getting mad and ornery. And, well, is there any way that I can do it without making her so mean and ornery that she does a 180 on my dad and takes it out on him, I guess?
But you still try to assume what's gonna happen, and you're still playing God. Your issue, your life is about your life, and you need to go and forgive your mother. And however she acts is on her. It has nothing to do with you. You need to forgive her so God can bring you out of your hell.
Yeah.
However it happened with a sister and her and your father, that's on them. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, I understand.
You understand what?
But that however they act or however they feel about me forgiving her, that's on
so
them.
why are you concerned about that then? Well, how can I do this without her yelling at my daddy and my sister? Why that's even on your mind?
Well, I just don't want to be come in with good intentions and end up making her even more mean and ornery and evil.
But you can't make her be that way. She's already that way.
Well, can I ask you, what if I was to wait until their divorce is finalized? That way there's nothing that she can do against my dad.
Why are you still playing mama for your daddy?
Well, you got to look out for him a little bit.
How?
Like I said,
why? Why?
Well, it's like the Ten Commandments say, honor thy mother and father.
But that's not honoring your father. That's playing mama with your father.
Well,
that's not honoring your mother, nor is it honoring your father. You honor your parents by forgiving them and not being angry at them. Forgive them. And you're not doing that. You're trying to play mama with your daddy.
I guess I see it that way, but it seems a little like if she does get as evil and as ornery as she has been, she might make things a lot worse for my dad.
And what does that have to do with you?
Well, supposed to look out. I shouldn't be making things worse for my dad, should I?
How are you making things worse for your father by her acting out? What does that have to do with you?
Well, because if she acts out enough, it could come into now I have to take care of my elderly dad because he has no money.
But you're still assuming this.
Right. I mean, it's not far from reality, honestly, Jesse.
Why don't you come out of your imagination? What's keeping you in your imagination?
Probably fear.
So you're afraid of getting stuck with your daddy?
Well, I know I'm not scared. I know I can take care of him and everything, but it's more of he does not want somebody taking care of him.
So if your father doesn't want anyone taking care of him, why are you so concerned about taking care of him?
Well, because he'll have no choice. If he
But
has no money, he'll have no choice.
but you don't know that. He sounds like a man that would make his way.
He might, but like I said, I know you're around his age. You feel like you could go back to Alabama and do blue collar work if you had to?
I don't think that way at all. Those are not my thoughts.
I got you.
You're thinking about all that before it even happened, and it's preventing you from doing the right thing for you.
Yeah, I understand. So you say even with all these thoughts, I should still go and forgive my mother.
What thoughts?
The thoughts of the fear of her taking all her anger out on my dad if I was to spike some anger in her.
But does it make sense that you should be thinking that way?
Doesn't make sense that I should be thinking that way?
Does that make sense that you should be thinking that way?
Well, to be cautious, yeah, I guess it makes sense to me.
Your father been catching hell from your mother all his life, ever since he been married to her, in your life.
Yeah, he supposedly so.
How do you feel about resenting your mother? How do you feel about that?
So it right now I say it's really, really hard to not resent her, even though I know I shouldn't.
How do you feel about resenting your mother? You hate your mother. How do you feel about that?
I feel like my emotions say I'm totally justified to resent my mother.
How do you feel about hating your mother?
Not necessarily that I hate her. I just hate the way she treats my dad.
How do you feel about hating your mother?
Makes me feel upset, I guess.
So you love hating your mother?
No, I don't love it.
Then why don't you forgive her then?
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right.
No, that was a question.
Ask it again.
Why don't you go and forgive her then?
Well, because it's not out of me having bad emotions for her. Is she going to get very vengeful?
No, that's out of you hating her, and you are afraid to face her because you're afraid of dealing with the hell that's in her, and that's when you've been with your mother all your life, and your father didn't help protect you from that, and now you're afraid to face your mother. And you have all these excuses that are coming out of hell to prevent you from forgiving her, and you're stuck.
Yeah, I guess.
Are you married?
Yes, sir.
So your wife is your wife obeying you?
Oh yeah.
Your wife obeying you?
Oh yeah.
How does she feel knowing that you're afraid of your mother?
I guess if you were to ask her that question, she'd say that I'm not afraid. He just don't want to make things worse. Not necessarily afraid of her, just making the situation worse.
But how does that make sense? How can you make somebody else's situation worse?
I feel like it can be pretty easy.
So you think you're God?
No, I think my mother is very emotional.
But what does that have to do with you forgiving her? Why do you think you're going to make things worse when you're going to forgive her for what she's done to you?
Well, and I guess in the same manner of I shouldn't listen to my emotions. Well, if she hasn't broke free of her emotions, those emotions can make the situation a whole lot worse.
And whose problem is that? Yours or hers?
And in the grand scheme of things, it can make it worse on everybody.
All right. Well, just stay in your hell, Pope.
Well.
Because you have all kinds of excuses not to come out of it. So just stay in it until you're ready to overcome it.
Right. Well, like I say, if it wasn't, I was on track to forgive her and all until all this happened, and now I feel like, oh man, it's just gonna make things worse.
All right. Well, stay in your hell until you're ready to come out.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Jesse.
You're welcome, buddy. I wish you well with that.
Thank you. I'll call you again one day.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. Bye now.